There was a time when walking to the corner store wasn't just about candy, it was about who you were. You look at all the candy bars, dig through your pocket for some coins, and make a choice that felt way bigger than it really was. Fizzy or chewy, chocolate or fruity, wrapped in foil or shiny plastic. These choices said something about you. And once you picked one, you'd carry that little bar or bag like it was treasure. Maybe all the way home, maybe eaten before you reached the end of the street. Today, many of those childhood favorites have quietly gone away. Not with a big announcement, but with a whisper. They slipped off the shelves, pushed out by flashy new candy from other countries or big companies taking over. And now all that's left is the memory. If you remember even one of these 8 candy bars, then you were probably there for the best time of British candy. Let's start with a legend. Bar 6, if you loved Cadbury candy in the 1960s and 1970s, this one will probably make your heart hurt a little. Bar 6 was Cadbury's answer to the Kit Kat, 6 separate fingers of wafer cookies layered with hazelnut cream, covered in milk chocolate and wrapped in a special red and orange wrapper, but it was never just a copy. Bar 6 had its own fans, and it wasn't strange to hear people say they liked it better than Kit Kat. The hazelnut filling made it taste richer, creamier, and just a little fancier. You didn't eat it without thinking. You enjoyed it finger by finger. It was often the reward candy, something your grandma might buy if you did well in school. It quietly went away in the early 1980s, probably because of brand fights and changing tastes, but those who remember it still talk about it like an old friend. Now, if you ever unwrapped a tiny square candy and popped it in your mouth while sitting on a school bus or hiding it during boring math class, you probably remember Spangles. These hard candies were made by Mars, and they were everywhere in the 1950s through the 1980s. Their famous square shape and individual wax wrappers made them easy to spot. Flavors went from your normal fruits, orange, blackcurrant, lime, to the weird old English kind which tasted like cough medicine and your grandma's purse all mixed together. And then there were the fizzy ones, a slight tingle on your tongue that made them feel just a bit more exciting. Spangles were cheap, fun, and everywhere. But as candy got shinier and more branded, Spangles began to feel old-fashioned. They stopped making them quietly, but to those who remember them, they'll always mean a childhood paid for with pocket money, one square at a time. Before the Mars bar really took over, Cadbury made a bold move with a bar called the Aztec. Started in 1967, the Aztec bar was Cadbury's try at beating Mars head-to-head. It had nougat, caramel, and milk chocolate, the same main ingredients, but many remember it as being softer, creamier, and altogether more fancy. There was something about that purple and silver foil that made it feel a little more grown up. It wasn't a grab-it-and-go candy. It was one you took your time with. Aztec was often seen as the smart person's Mars bar, the kind of treat you'd choose as a Friday reward or something to eat at the movies. But even though it had loyal fans, it couldn't compete with Mars's popularity and advertising money. By the late 1970s, Aztec was gone, a quiet victim of the chocolate bar wars. And yet to this day, if you mention it to the right people, you'll get a sad nod and maybe even a sigh. Now, let's take a breath, a minty one, because we can't talk about forgotten candy without mentioning Pacers. Originally started as opal mints, these chewy green and white striped mints had a cooling bite and a sporty image. In fact, they were often advertised with athletic people in tracksuits, jogging to that fresh feeling. The flavor wasn't too strong, just enough to clear your head a bit. Kids would chew them on the walk home from school, and adults kept them in their coat pockets or cars. What made Pacers cool wasn't just the taste, but the feeling. It felt clean, modern, even slightly grown up. But as fruitier, bolder candy took over in the 1980s, Pacers lost their spot. They were quietly stopped, leaving behind only memories of minty stripes and strange fitness-themed commercials. Still, they live on in the minds of those who remember a time when mints could be cool. And then there was the Cabana bar, one of the wildest flavor combinations ever put into British chocolate. Brought out by Rowntree in the 1980s, Cabana mixed caramel, coconut, and cherry into one sticky tropical bite, all wrapped in milk chocolate. It was messy. It was gooey. It was amazing. For many, it was the treat you got at the movie snack bar or the gas station before a long drive. And let's not forget the commercial, a funny take on the Day-O banana boat song with palm trees and sunny beaches. Cabana was a little bit silly, a little bit exotic, and completely unforgettable. But maybe that wildness was what killed it. As the 1990s came around, the cherry center split people's opinions. Some found it too sweet, too weird. Others missed the simplicity of their favorite bars. Eventually, Cabana was pulled, but for those who loved it, the memory of that first cherry coconut bite stays as bright as the wrapper it came in. If you ever enjoyed a bar with a toasted almond flavor and two slim sticks side by side, you're probably thinking of the Banjo Bar. Originally started in the 1970s, Banjo had two types: the blue-wrapped milk chocolate version and the red one with dark chocolate. Each bar had two fingers. Crunchy wafer cookies coated in chocolate and covered with crushed peanuts. It was a bit like a fancier Butterfinger bar. Crisp, nutty, and satisfying without being over the top. Banjo wasn't loud. It wasn't messy. It was the kind of bar you might find in your dad's glove compartment or tucked inside a packed lunch for a trip to the zoo. Its disappearance wasn't dramatic. It just faded away. But among candy lovers, Banjo has cult status. It represents the time of simpler pleasures and quiet snacks, before everything needed to be stuffed, double-coated, and packed with 3 types of caramel. Now for one of the most eye-catching of the bunch, mint Cracknel. If you've never seen one, imagine a bar with a hard minty green sugar center that shattered like glass when you bit into it, all coated in smooth milk chocolate. It was sharp, it was sweet, and it was completely unlike anything else on the market. Mint Cracknel was intense, the kind of bar you either loved or didn't get. But for those who grew up with it, the memory of that crack when your teeth hit the center is unforgettable. It was a texture experience as much as a taste one. There wasn't another bar like it, and there still isn't. It slowly disappeared in the 1980s, probably because it was hard to make and tastes were changing, but for many, it remains one of the most requested comebacks of all time, the mint that crunched instead of melted. Finally, let's end with something wonderfully strange. Fry's 5 centers. This bar was a flavor adventure. 5 different fruit-flavored soft centers, raspberry, lime, pineapple, orange, and strawberry, all wrapped in a slab of dark chocolate. Each bite was different. You never quite knew which center you'd hit next. It was like a box of chocolates in bar form. Introduced in the mid-20th century, it felt fancy and even a bit posh, something your aunt might bring over or slip into a birthday card. But as the years went on, fruity soft centers fell out of style, and so did Fry's 5 centers. It quietly disappeared, leaving behind only the original Fry's cream as a reminder. Still, those who remember the fruit-filled version often light up when it's mentioned, because that bar wasn't just about chocolate, it was about surprise. These candies weren't just treats, they were time markers. Each one marked a moment, a memory, a tiny tradition. You might remember who you were with the first time you tried a Cabana, or how a pack of Spangles made a bus ride go faster, or how Bar 6 always seemed like the better choice when you wanted something just a bit different. They've all disappeared now. Some were too wild, some too quiet, some just lost the brand war. But they were loved and remembered, and that says something. If any of these brought back a smile or a craving, drop your memory in the comments. And if you enjoy stories like this, subscribe for more sweet slices of British life, one wrapper at a time.